Agitorium nostrum in nomine Domini. Our apostolic mandate, a great encyclical of Pope Pius X. Okay, we left off on page 22. So our Lord is both gentle and firm. He is merciful but also just. So they distort who Christ really is, like the new Mass. 44, a constructive alternative. Take it, Michael. Moreover,
since in the clash of interests, and especially in the struggle against dishonest forces, the virtue of a man and even his holiness are not always sufficient to guarantee him his daily bread, and since social structures, though their natural interplay, ought to be devised to thwart the efforts of the unscrupulous and enable all men of goodwill to attain their legitimate share of temporal happiness, we earnestly desire that you should take an active part in the organization of society with this objective in mind. And to this end, while your priests will zealously devote their efforts to the sanctification of souls, to the defense of the church, and also to the works of charity in the strict sense.
Stricte dicte, right? Go ahead.
You shall select a few of them, level-headed and of active disposition, holders of doctors, degrees in philosophy and theology, thoroughly acquainted with the history of ancient and modern civilizations, and you shall set them to the not so lofty but more practical study of the social science, so that you may place them at the opportune time at the helm of your works of Catholic action. However, let not these priests be misled in the maze of current opinions, by the miracles of a false democracy. Let them not borrow from the rhetoric of the worst enemies of the church and of the people the high-flown phrases full of promise, which are as high-sounding as unattainable. Let them be convinced that the social question and social science did not arise only yesterday, that the church and the state at all times in happy concert have raised up fruitful organizations to this end, that the church, which has never betrayed the happiness of the people by the consenting to dubious alliances, does not have to free herself from the past, that all that is needed is to take up again, with the help of the true workers for a social restoration, the organisms which the revolution shattered, and to adopt them in the same Christian spirit. And to adapt them in the same Christian spirit that inspired them to the new environment arising from the material development of today's society. Indeed, the true friends of the people are neither revolutionaries nor innovators. They are traditionalists.
That's right. Traditional Catholics are the friends of the people. Footnote 20, the revolution referred to in this and other paragraphs is the
French Revolution
of 1789, which dismantled all existing social structures and was responsible for the dissemination of modern errors throughout the world. So he's hitting on the Masonic French Revolution. So he's saying we need good priests, bishops put good priests to handle the social questions, and you don't have to invent anything new. Just do what the church has always done. The church understands human nature, and she won't fall into these fanciful dreams of revolutionaries, innovators, such as the dream when people discovered electricity. Oh, by the year 2020, we'll be landing on the moon, and there'll be no more sickness. Everything will be Everything will be, all medicine, all cancer, cures for all diseases will be discovered. There's this kind of stuff going on, right? So all these dreamy ideas, which are not realistic. I like what one writer said. The Catholic countries, seeking the good of souls, sailed across the oceans, discovering whole new lands and peoples, and bringing them to the Catholic faith, South and North America. Right? But then man, boasting that he can land on the moon, for what? The question is if they even got there. That seems to have been proven now to be a lie. But even if they did get there, what is it? Just a pile of rocks? There's no new people to bring to the faith, because the church already settled this question. The only ones God has come down man to redeem for is the human race. There's no other races on any other planets. The church already knows this. So they're just wasting their time trying to find life on other planets. It's a total waste of time. But it seems a lot more evidence is coming up that even the so-called moon landing was just a lie. In fact, one of Father Ruiz's videos he sent me is one of the cameramen for the moon landing admits it was all a lie. And the interviewer is saying, well, why would you even want to say this? Because it's just gonna bring down and affect so many people. And he said, well, don't people want the truth? It's time the truth be said. So, anyway. Okay, so this is the famous quote of St. Pius X. The true friends of the people are neither the
revolutionaries
nor
innovators.
They are
Traditionalists.
That's right. It's very true. And even now, in this crazy modern world, most Catholics want tradition. They're sick and tired of the Novus Ordo. And they say that among the young people, there's a huge swing towards the traditional Latin Mass. So, tradition is the future. Traditional priests are the builders for the real Catholic civilization, for the triumph of Our Lady. So you, if you become priests, you will be the pioneers building for a true Catholic civilization, but built on reality, built on the understanding of true human nature, that original sin is real, that we need prayer, penance, we need the church, we need Lent, we need confession. This is all part of the church's solutions. Open to Sionis, 45, Anthony.
We desire that the Sionist youth, freed from their errors, far from impeding this work, which is eminently worthy of your pastoral care, should bring to it their loyal and effective contribution in an orderly manner, and with befitting submission.
46.
A fatherly exhortation to the Sionists. We now turn towards the leaders of the Sion, with the confidence of a father who speaks to his children, and we ask them for their own good, and for the good of the Church and of France, to turn their leadership over to you. We are certainly aware of the extent of the sacrifice that we request from them, but we know them to be of a sufficiently generous disposition to accept it, and, in advance, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, whose unworthy representative we are, we bless them for this. As to the rank and file of the Sion, we wish that they group themselves according to dioceses in order to work under the authority of their respective bishops, for the Christian and Catholic regeneration of the people, as well as for the improvement of their lot. These diocesan groups will be independent from one another for the time being, and in order to show clearly that they have broken with the errors of the past, they will take the name of Catholic Sion, and each of the members will add to his Sionist title the Catholic qualification.
Okay, isn't that great? So Pius X is saying, come under the bishops, and these were good bishops. Come back under the bishops, and you can straighten out this crooked Zionist movement. And from now on, you won't call it the Sion, you're going to call it the...
Catholics.
So there's no confusion. No confusion. And this, notice you have to clarify. Catholic Sion. We have to clarify. I'm not with the conciliar church, we're with the Catholic Church. And Bishop Fillet did away with that distinction, which just causes confusion. He still won't call it the conciliar church. So that's why I think it's all theater, this whole preparation for the bishops. Something's going on under the table, which is not honest nor public. And then, for example, fake resistance and true resistance. We always have to distinguish. We don't like it. I know some people tell me, well, I'm neither fake resistant nor conciliar nor this nor that. I'm just Catholic. All right, well, the novice order will say the same. So will the indults. So will the fake resistance. So you have to distinguish. Right? Same in the Arian crisis. The Catholics had to say, I'm with Bishop Athanasius. To be more clear, that's just, to be Catholic meant you stood with Athanasius. And in the Protestant Revolution in England, well, that's a great thing. They could say, I'm with St. Pius V. I'm with the Pope, because he was a good Pope. But they had to distinguish, right? I'm a recusant. I'm not with the new religion. I'm one of the recusants. And that was a bad word back then, just like the true Catholic resistance. So, go on.
It goes without saying that each Catholic Zionist will remain free to retain his political preferences, provided they are purified of everything that is not entirely conformable to the doctrine of the Church.
Beautiful, huh? So you can keep your government, your political preference, but don't hold error. And what's the errors he's talking about?
Modern democracy.
Modern democracy, based on what errors?
Authority comes from the people.
Error number one, authority comes from the people, down up. Second error,
And the majority make it true.
majority vote determines what's true. Yeah.
This also kind of condemns the lie of, you vote for the lesser of two evils. Right? Because he's saying, you can keep your political preferences provided they aren't purified in everything that the Church teaches. So if you have a candidate that is, let's say, says a lot of good things, but then the one he's for abortion, you can't vote for him.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yes. And a lot of people who voted for Trump are now realizing there's a reason why Israel was celebrating at the election of Trump. They know he would bring in the Third World War, or at least try to. And everything he does is just supporting Israel. So, can you read out loud what's on the board, Michael?
The devil's greatest trick is convincing people. Wait, how did it go?
Yeah, that's that.
The devil's greatest trick is convincing people that he isn't real, but he is real.
Israel.
Israel.
But he, Israel. Israel. Go on.
Should some groups refuse, venerable brethren, to submit to these conditions, you should consider by that very fact that they are refusing to submit to your authority. Then, you will have to examine whether they stay within the limits of pure politics or economics, or persist in their former errors. In the former case, it is clear that you will have no more to do with them than with the general body of the faithful. In the latter case, you will have to take appropriate measures, with prudence, but with firmness also. Priests will have to keep entirely out of the dissident groups, and they shall be content to extend the help of their sacred ministry to each member individually, applying to them in the tribunal of penitence the common rules of morals in respect to doctrine and conduct. As for the Catholic groups, whilst the priests and the seminarists may favor and help them, they shall abstain from joining them as members. For it is fitting that the priestly phalanx should remain above lay associations, even when these are most useful and inspired by the best spirit.
There's a lot of wisdom there. Priests should not be enrolling themselves into lay motivated organizations, such as a priest should not join TFP. A priest should not join even the local volunteer fire club. He should stay out of that, because his purpose is the highest purpose, which is souls. Right? What's another example? Priests should not be members of the Opus Dei, they claim is a priest movement, but it's really a Masonic movement.
Use it clubs too, I guess.
Yeah. So obviously, priests should never join Oddfellows or Rotary Club, which is forbidden anyway by the old code, because they are what?
Freemasons.
Faces of Freemasonry, yeah. So he's telling the priests who had joined the Zionist movement, get out of it. You're not to be members of that. Get out of there and focus on being good priests. Look after souls instead of waving your flags. 47, a prayer and a wish.
Such are the practical measures with which we have deemed necessary to confirm this letter on the Sion and the Zionists. From the depths of our soul, we pray that the Lord may cause these men and young people to understand the grave reasons which have prompted. May He give them the docility of heart and the courage to show to the Church the sincerity of their Catholic fervor. As for you, venerable brethren, may the Lord inspire in your hearts towards them, since they will be yours henceforth, the sentiments of a true fatherly love.
Yeah, so bishops have a fatherly, paternal love towards these wayward Catholics. And most of them were Catholics. So don't come at them with a sledgehammer, and don't come at them with a false, smiley, oh, you're all saved attitude either. But correct them. And for those who refuse, well, you can't do much, but for those willing to correct their false ideas, work with them and bring them to do good work for the Church. Very, very sound, right? Sound advice of St. Pius X. So he sees they are wayward Catholics, so he's not smashing the whole thing, but he's smashing their errors, calling them back to right thinking. Very good. And this kind of gives you an insight of what a good pope will have to do in the future. He will have to weed out the errors of the new Mass, Vatican II, and take those of good heart who will embrace tradition, teach them how to say the Tridentine Mass, teach them the good doctrine, and to refute the errors of Vatican II and come back to tradition. And many will refuse. They'll just be modernists and liberals and refuse anyway. But with those of goodwill, you can work with them. The closing benediction: in expressing this hope and to obtain these results, which are so desirable, we grant to you, to your clergy, and to your people, our apostolic benediction with all our heart. Given at Rome by St. Pius X at St. Peter's on the
25th of August, 1910, the 8th year of our pontificate.
Pius X Pope. So that's a very hot time in Rome. Very hot and humid. All right, look at this. This is a very good summary, this next section. The social and political doctrine of the Catholic Church. The Church does not concern itself with forms of government, which are principally three. What are they?
Monarchy, aristocracy, democracy.
But with
Principles.
principles, which all forms of government must respect. So whatever the form of government, it must uphold the kingship of Christ. The following sums up the principles set forth by St. Pius X in his encyclical, Our Apostolic Mandate. Any contrary opinion willfully adhered to is an act of disobedience to the teaching of the Church. The number refers to the corresponding paragraphs. So this is a very good summary. First point, Anthony.
The doctrines of the philosophers of the 18th century, the so-called Enlightenment, the doctrines of liberalism, and the doctrines of the French Revolution are all absolutely condemned by the Catholic Church.
Bam. And you know who else is included in there? John Locke, Thomas Hobbes. They are the big think tanks behind George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin. Authority comes from the people. They were heavily into this 18th century philosophy. That's Immanuel Kant. He's 1700s right there. René Descartes. And then Marx will be later, but of the same ilk, the same herd. So this is a very powerful first statement right here. He's condemning absolutely the 17th century, 18th century philosophers, which includes Thomas Jefferson and all them, all their rotten political philosophy. And what stands out with their philosophy? Exclude
Exclusion of Christ the King.
Exclude Christ the King and exclude his religion.
Yes.
Congress will make no laws concerning religion. Congress will be neutral on matters of religion. That is declaring a public what? According to Pope Leo XIII.
A state atheism.
State atheism. It's public atheism. It's saying religion is a joke. Religion is not serious enough for the state to get involved. It's really horrifying. But you can say the modern government does have union of church and state. It's called the union of state and synagogue. That's the United States. It's a true religion. It's the religion of the synagogue working together. Yeah.
You know how we talk about how, like, when the church is restored, once we get a good pope, he's going to have a lot on his plate with Vatican II. It could be something as simple as, look, just this one sentence. He could just say, all the doctrines of Vatican II are condemned.
Yeah.
Like, just there, because just that one sentence condemns the whole French Revolution.
That's right.
So it could be as simple as that.
And it probably will be.
They just say, here's the line, everybody get on it or get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the enemies knew they couldn't get in the church and wreak such havoc if their doctrines were clear on the bulletin board. Here's the plan, destruction, da 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 da. They have to always weave in Catholic stuff to put on the sheep's clothing, right? So how can anyone, like Bishop Fillet, 95% is interpretable in a Catholic way, who's going to sit down and sift through this?
Yeah.
It's impossible. The only way to deal with it is just throw it all to the flames, which is what Archbishop Vigano said, and he's right. He's right on that point, definitely right. So I think you're right too. I think it'll be that simple. Same with the Anglican religion. Well, they're going to get into, they say these words and they do these things and they have these beliefs. No, it's invalid. I think that makes most sense too. Next point, Guadalupe.
Is it social problems?
Yes.
Social problems cannot be tackled safely without a sound knowledge of history, philosophy, and theology.
Yes, so priests especially have to be grounded in good history, a good grasp of history, philosophy, and theology. Now, you're getting philosophy and theology in the next coming years. History, you should always be trying to read, in your life, good history, good authors, right, who are anti-liberal. And the great brother Sidonius, may he rest in peace, he's buried in St. Mary's, Kansas. He used to teach there. He was from Czechoslovakia, and he grew up in a Catholic age, what was left of it. He saw Hitler when he was 9, marching through the streets in Czechoslovakia. But he used to say, a historian that ignores Freemasonry, don't trust him. They have to attack Freemasonry because they're all, especially in modern history, they're always somewhere. So any historian that doesn't speak of Freemasonry and the work of the synagogue, they're not truthful. And that's why William Thomas Walsh is outstanding for the English speaking. And then Monsignor de Lassus, he exposes this. He's finally being translated into English. And who's another author that doesn't hold punches on the synagogue and the protocols?
Father Dennis Fahey.
Father Dennis Fahey, he's dynamite. And of course, Archbishop Lefebvre. So, a lot of these best works are in Spanish or French. But they're getting more and more translated. So, Cardinal P is another one. You want to read as much as you can of him. And a lot now has been translated. It is good days, Father Iscara, may he rest in peace. When he was under Bishop Williamson, he used to be quite a fighter. And I remember he gave many priest conferences on Cardinal P and giving whole translations of things he said, which I gave you a lot of that in that last pamphlet quoting on Christ the King, and right? There was a lot there from Father Iscara's work. So, but under Father LaRue, Father Iscara went and turned into a marshmallow, which was unfortunate. So pray for his soul. He was a good priest, but he went soft with the new direction. A lot of priests just went with it, you know. And anyway, next point. So you especially priests, or future priests, or if it's not God's will and you go back and choose to go insanely back out into the world, you should be well grounded in history, philosophy, and theology, and well grounded in the true history, because there's a lot of lies, of course, with history. And a lot of modern lies. Landing of the moon, 9/11, JFK, what else? All the recent lies. Gaza. And what's some more recent lies that we swim in? There's just so many of them you can't keep track anymore. Epstein, yeah. Some are saying this whole bombing of Iran is to distract from the Epstein thing, which would make Trump look pretty bad. What else? What other lies we swim in? Yeah, Bush. We gotta go find the nuclear weapons in Iraq. A whole war based on assumptions. We swim in lies, and now there's American boys being bombed and shot. The sad thing is, see, in World War II, there were good Catholic chaplains. Now it's all Navasoto chaplains. So, are these American boys ready to die? Are they really ready to die spiritually? That's why we got to pray for them, so that at least they die well. All right, next, the diversity of social classes must be preserved. Very important point here. The leveling down of classes is contrary to Catholic teaching. So that's the false what, everybody?
False equality.
False equality, yeah, which comes with socialism and communism. Right? Level out all the classes. And that includes, in the realm of the sacred liturgy, as we're studying in sacred liturgy, the clergy are like the proletariat. They need to be brought down and made equal with the laity. So the laity need to have more involvement, active participation in
The Mass.
by doing practically how?
By taking the role of the priest. basically.
How?
Active participation, vocal participation, physical participation.
Keep going.
Doing the readings, giving out communion, responses.
Even purifying the chalice? That's unbelievable. Yes, so it's all part of this thinking, right? It's timely that we're actually studying the condemnation of the Sion movement in modern democracy, and we're starting this book on the sacred liturgy. It's quite timely because you can see directly the connection, right? Father Lambert Baudouin was directly associated with the Sion and their thinking. And as we saw, he downplayed adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. He downplayed what else? Do you remember? There was a whole list of things.
Personal devotion, I think it was.
It was mainly devotion to the Blessed Sacrament.
Yeah.
And adoring the Blessed Sacrament.
Yes. All right, next point. Michael?
A person's progress consists in developing his natural abilities in conformity with the natural laws governing human nature.
Okay, so respect the laws that God built into nature. That's pretty much. Next point, go on, Michael.
The community exists for the individual, not the individual for the community.
Okay. Yeah, there's a give and take with this. You have to understand it correctly. Next point.
The church has the right to supervise the work of social and political authorities.
That's right. So you can't have separation of church and state. The church has the right to be there. For example, on the edge of the discoveries with medicine, the church can say, this IVF, what's it again?
In vitro fertilization.
In vitro fertilization. You cannot do this, it's immoral. And they should obey, right? Because IVF means they choose one baby out of 60, 70, 80, and probably more that are all aborted and killed. They're all conceived, they're all forming into children, and then they kill them all and just settle with one. That's what's going on with this. So the church, at the cuff of all these inventions, could say this is immoral, it's against the law of God and the law of nature. You can't do it. And the science and the people involved there should obey and listen. They should. But that's what Pius X is saying. The church has the right to supervise the work of social and political authorities. So, social authorities, you can't put out these immodest fashions. Now girls, they wear these puny, tiny little blue jean shorts. So small, I mean, you can't get any shorter. You couldn't possibly get shorter. The church should be saying, you cannot put out these fashions. And they should work with the church and protect the modesty of the girls. You get a little girl walking around in that. What is she doing? She's waving a flag, rape me, rape me. That's what they're doing. And then when a guy gets, a weakness, he starts going after her. She calls the police on him and ruins his whole career. This is the nonsense going on. And some of these girls can be very nasty, apparently. Very nasty. They get a guy, they get him to get her with child, then she can rob him of everything he has, because the courts will always favor her. And she knows it. Well, a lot of women do this just to live without working. Live off the guy that she just leached from and ruined their lives without, it's just, what a mess. So Pius X is absolutely right. Imagine if the work of social means music, fashions, education, and the political authorities worked with the church. Society would be far happier. The youth would be happier. Education would be cleaner. But I'm talking the traditional church. So the church, Vatican II church is a mess. All right, next point, Anthony. The so-called
democratic education of the people is nothing but a dream.
That's right. Why? That's paragraph 19, if you want to poke back there. Why is it a dream to give education based on modern democracy? Anybody?
What do he means by democratic education?
Modern democracy. Nobody knows?
Well, I was just going to say it's because it's rooted in false principles, because it says, from which will result economic and political democracy and the reign of justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. But all the definitions of their, like how they define liberty, justice, equality is all based on, takes God out of it. It's based on a false equality, a false liberty, freedom to do whatever you want, except freedom
Yes.
to do what is required by God's law. So you're just elevating society without God in it.
Yes. Yeah, it's distorting all these noble. Liberty is a Catholic understanding, equality has a Catholic understanding, and fraternity has a Catholic understanding, but they distort it in the Masonic way. So yes, it's a dream, it's a lie. Next point, sovereignty, Guadalupe.
Sovereignty does not lie in the people,
So where does it lie then?
in God.
Yes. Can the people elect in a true democracy? Can they elect a leader?
Yes.
Yes.
And if in that case, does the leader's authority come from the people or from God?
From God.
What does St. Paul say? All authority?
Comes from God.
Yes. Yeah. Next, to place authority in the hands of the people on the one hand, and to put the interests of society before the interests of the person on the other hand, is a theory contrary to Catholic truth. Translators note, it also contains an inbuilt contradiction, for the people are, in fact, expected to make their decisions in the interests of the community, even if their own particular interests should suffer. What insanity. Next point, Michael.
The belief that authority comes from the people, and that those who exercise it do so in the name of the people, is absolutely condemned by the Catholic Church. Equally condemned is the belief that the authority of rulers can be revoked by the people, and that such authority, even if it is admitted that it comes from God, flows into the people first and is delegated by the people.
Yes, condemned by the church. Yeah, we'll pick up next time with more. These are very good, right?
Yes.
Agitare nostrum in nomine Domini.